Hello and welcome to this very special edition of Global Dialogues. I'm Shereen Bhan and we're coming to you live from Washington, D.C., right outside the White House. And we are in conversation with the newly appointed CEO of global giant Honeywell. Vimal Kapur has taken over as the global CEO on the 1st of June, and he joins us now live and exclusive for his very first interview in his new role. Vimal, what an absolute pleasure. Congratulations on your new role, and thank you very much for joining us here on CNBC-TV18.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, Shereen, and welcome to US. I hope you're having some good time here.
Well, it's a windy morning in Washington, D.C. is what I have to report, Vimal. But, let's start by talking to you about your tenure at Honeywell. It's been a long journey, 34 years. You started in India way back in 1988, and you've now moved all the way up to the top. In your own words, your leadership style is intense, and you want to go, go, go. So as you take on this new role, what is the vision that you have for the company?
Look, the Honeywell is having a great run. So my job is now to take Honeywell to the next level. And the opportunity I see is to align Honeywell with, say, big macros Honeywell support, which is air travel, energy transition, and automation. We have material play in each of these macros, and they are very meaningful for all of us as citizens of the world. So my job is to make Honeywell more meaningful in each of these segments and improve our financial performance.
When you talk about financial performance, under your predecessor, there was a CAGR growth during his tenure of about 9%. He closed out from $88 billion in market cap at $145 billion in 2022. So as you chart out this journey under your leadership, Vimal, what is it that you would like to see in terms of financials for the company going forward?
Yeah, good question, Shereen. So we have laid out a pretty well-defined financial commitments to the street. We commit our financial algorithm is 4 to 7% organic growth, 40 to 60 basis point margin expansion, and mid-teens cash generation. So when you do the math, that will derive a earnings growth which are close to double-digit every year, and then that should compound the valuation of Honeywell. So I expect to continue the good work done by my predecessor, Darius Adamczyk, who's our executive chairman now, and hope that I perform at the same or better rate in times to come.
Well, let's talk about your priority areas, Vimal. And you, even as COO, were tasked with the emphasis and the priority on digitization as well as on sustainability. Now, if I were to understand from you what you intend to do specifically over the next few years as far as these two particular areas are concerned, which have been your champion areas, your focus areas, and what will that mean in terms of the change of the complexion of the company?
So sustainability, let's start with sustainability and then I'll come to digitization. It's something which we all care about. We all know the climate change issue is real and it has to be addressed. We in Honeywell have several solutions, but the biggest impact we make is hard to decarbonize sectors. We provide solutions in sectors like air transport to decarbonize sectors like refining, oil and gas, power. And my vision is that how do we make Honeywell even a stronger proposition in energy transition in these solutions? So things like sustainable aviation fuel, hydrogen, carbon capture, HFOs, those are the areas where we can further enhance our play and not only grow Honeywell, but also be a meaningful player for the climate change solution for the planet. On the digital side, we have about $1.5 billion of software business, which we characterize as Honeywell Connected Enterprise. And that serves digital transformation of our customers in aerospace, in process industry, in buildings industry. And my focus area is how we grow that segment in double digits. It's going to be a lot of organic growth to solve problems of our customers in area of sustainability, cybersecurity, asset management. So collectively, these two are going to be a major growth drivers for Honeywell in next few years to come.
You know, you talked about organic growth, Vimal, but let's talk about the inorganic aspiration as you expand in each of these areas. Is that going to be something that you want to consciously consider, want to consciously focus on? Is that an option that you are looking at this point in time?
Absolutely. Look, Honeywell, we constantly look at our portfolio transformation. It's important that we look what's relevant for our customers and our shareholders, and we constantly look at targets which can, make our portfolio more contemporary. So we're actively working on pursuits, but as you know that M&A deals are always, probability is still you don't get to the finish line. So it will be a priority. Absolutely. And we'll, of course, do it with the responsibility to keep our shareholders' value intact. And at the same time, we want to make our portfolio more relevant in the times to come.
You know, I'll get to the portfolio relevance in just a second, but I want to understand from you what the world looks like from your perch at this point, Vimal. Continues to be fairly uncertain, continues to be volatile. Even in terms of some of your high growth regions, China, for instance, continues to be a high growth region for you. How are you reading what's going on in the world at this point in time? What are your specific concerns with respect to some of your high growth markets, including China and India?
So I would say that when we look at the world from Honeywell lens, the end markets we serve are doing very well. 2/3 of the Honeywell revenue come from aerospace business, air travel related, or energy business, and both have strong demand. So we from our lens, the economy is doing well, and we need to perform, take our share in these markets. To your specific question on high growth regions markets like China, India, I will also put in Middle East, ASEAN, etc. I would say for most part, we see strong growth, better than mature markets in many of these regions. India in particular is performing extremely well. Middle East is performing very well. China, we are counting on strong recovery post-COVID because China is about a year behind the rest of the world in COVID recovery. And we do expect a strong 2023 in China. So overall, we have a pretty material play in high growth regions, and we continue to expect to perform better there in the times to come.
Vimal, let's talk about India, because you talked about how India is performing well and doing well in the Honeywell portfolio. Now, in terms of the kind of opportunities that you see, especially with regards to the climate transition, the energy transition aspect that you just spoke of, digitization as well, aviation, of course, a big market now with orders being placed by companies like Air India and others. What is the big bet from an India standpoint for Honeywell today?
Yeah, Shereen, I think I missed a few seconds of your question during the transmission. I think your question was how we relate with the growth of India. Honeywell is...
yes, and the big bets for India.
Yeah, so our portfolio is perfect fit for where India wants to go at this point of time. Look at what we do and where India wants to go. Honeywell is big in aerospace, and India wants to massively open its air transport sector. We've seen the news of Air India. We've seen the news of how other airlines are acquiring more planes. So that works perfectly for us because we are a big OEM provider for in the aerospace sector. India's big push for infrastructure. So infrastructure is not only roads or trains, but infrastructure is also about hospitals. It's about building new airports, and automating that infrastructure really plays well into Honeywell. Energy transition, India has some big plans to do energy transition in areas like hydrogen, adoption of more ethanol, and those are a few examples. And we are a big player in energy space, and we are working with all Indian customers as this energy transition work happens. So our portfolio fit is so strong with India wants to go, which gives me very high confidence that we are going to do very well in India next, times to come.
what would the aspiration be for the India business? I mean, just you know, in the past year, you've seen your order book grow by about 12%.
Yeah.
You've seen revenues grow by about 17%. But given what you just spoke of, the strategic fit between India's priorities and Honeywell's priorities, what's the aspiration for the India business?
Big aspirations, I would say, and in both dimensions, to our domestic business and how we want to leverage India for our global operations. I think there's no reason our domestic business should not double in next 4 to 5 years' time. The India GDP growth is strong, and we should grow at least 2x of the GDP. So if India continues to grow 6 to 7% range, there is no reason that we should not grow 15%, every year over the next several years. So that's one big aspiration. From, we have a big global operation in India. We have been present to leverage India for engineering services, for our operations for last 30 years. But also I see now a shift of that. While we keep it, the shift of that is going to be much more manufacturing oriented. As Make in India becomes more relevant, we see more supply base being available, and we can source more from India. And I'll give an example. We set up, a manufacturing facility along with our partner, Naveen Chemicals. They have set up a chemical manufacturing facility captive for Honeywell in state of Gujarat. And that to me is a great example of how we are leveraging India's efficient cost manufacturing, facilities for our global business. And as I mentioned before, as Make in India creates more supply base in defense, in aerospace, in other sectors, we expect that sourcing will become another priority for us for India. So it's going to be three-dimensional. It's going to be our domestic business. It's going to be our continued global operation for our engineering operations, and then more and more sourcing from India.
I'll pick up on the sourcing aspiration that you spoke of, Vimal. And what we are seeing at this point in time is a general sort of global reframing of trade. There is, of course, this move towards de-risking supply chains, and India is hoping to be a beneficiary of that. Now, how much of geopolitics is weighing on your decision to source more from India, to manufacture more from India for the world? How much of the India bet is also being taken in the context of this global de-risking that's shaping up?
We always believed in manufacturing local for local. So for us, the opportunity is less of de-risking, but more of better cost base and more resiliency. Certainly, that's part of the opportunity for us. But we always historically had manufacturing North America for North America, Europe for Europe, China for China, India for India. So that puts less work on our side to kind of de-risk question which you asked me. We don't have to go through that. But clearly, we have an opportunity to leverage the India supply base, which we don't do a lot today. So think about sourcing castings, plastic parts, chemicals, electronic products. I think the opportunity on that front is way bigger for companies like Honeywell.